Far Cry is a series which has been around since 2004, and let's just say, since then, it has had many gameplay changes. In this video, I wanted to go through each mainline Far Cry and talk about the gameplay-specific changes and why I think these were good or bad changes to the game. Gameplay means anything from, obviously, you putting inputs into the game, to anything to do with the open world, to anything to do with how you interact with stuff. This will not be covering the story change. This will be a different video coming out soon. So without further ado, let's talk about Far Cry's gameplay changes throughout the many years. Starting off with Far Cry 2004, and what gameplay do we have here? Well, you can hold a gun, fire said gun, aim with said gun, throw grenades, walk, and even crouch. In Far Cry 1, you can drive many vehicles. I'm obviously joking that you can't. Far Cry 1 is a very run-of-the-mill game. It's a very game. It's a very normal game. It is a first-person shooter in which you can aim, throw grenades, and fire your gun, and that is pretty much the extent of it. Which is why it does not surprise me that with the changes that were made when Far Cry 2 was made.
Bastardo! Bloody idiot! Okay, you wanna know about this world?
This used to be a sweet land. Then the diamonds ran out. Now the mercenaries fight each other like hyenas over a corpse. There are two sides. First, there's the APR. These men answer to an ex-military commander, Oliver Tam.
Far Cry 2 released in 2008, and I have said many times before, and I will continue to say many times now, was a huge and colossal success for Ubisoft and the Far Cry series as a whole. And in fact, if this game wasn't such a success, I don't know if Far Cry 3 ever would have been made, or at least made to what it was to this day. Far Cry 2 took such a massive leap when it comes to so many things. In Far Cry 2, yes, you can shoot bad man, yes, you can grenade bad man, and yes, you can drive a car and even a boat. But what makes Far Cry 2's gameplay so interesting is how gritty and realistic it feels. Modern Far Cry is extremely famous for their healing animations, pulling out shards of glass from your arm, putting out your arm with a cigarette, don't really know why they did that one, or even just bandaging up your arm. Far Cry is known for their animations and how amazing they are. But these incredible, unique, and brilliant animations all started in Far Cry 2. When you take damage, or when you are shot, or stabbed, or hit, or blown up, a unique animation will play for when that has happened. Nothing like this had been ever done before in any other game. Normally it's just a random health bar which you either click a button to heal or you wait around a corner to heal. Whereas this game, depending on how you are hurt, a unique and expressive animation will be played, which was an incredible feature for 2008. But the changes in gameplay don't just stop at healing animations. You see, in Far Cry 2, your guns were very worn and old. Far Cry 2 overall had a very worn and gristly aesthetic, but I'll talk more about aesthetic in my next video when I talk about the stories. Far Cry 2 has a very gritty setting, and it makes sense that your guns are old and gritty. It also makes sense that those guns jam, and when your guns jam, it is incredible. You can be halfway through a fight and your guns will randomly jam. It feels amazing and it feels very stressful. You also have to take malaria pills to stop yourself from dying of malaria. Oh, and did I mention that you are now getting chased by tigers, cougars, snakes, and all sorts of wildlife that wants to completely fuck you up and ruin your day. Personally, one of my favourite things to do with Far Cry 2 is how you operate the map. The map is pretty much just a bland African desert or slash weird jungle biome kind of thing, slash plain lands, but the way you find yourself around this incredible map is so amazing. You have to cycle through hand-drawn maps to find out where you are, and I really thought this was such a cool feature. But what did the fans think of this? Well, there were two sides of the coin. There were the OG fans of Far Cry 1 who said that the game was too hard and almost too difficult now, which turned a lot of people off of the game. But there was a new wave of fans who loved the extra challenge in a first-person shooter, which they never felt they had been challenged before. However, for the open world, there was still really nothing to do in it.
The savages on this island do unspeakable things.
It is brave to swim a storm, but to sunbathe on a beach with pirates, insanity.
They torture. They murder. They have no remorse. And they're holding my friends captive.
Jason, you gotta get me out of here, man.
To be
Gameplay would once again change for 2012's Far Cry 3. You see, Ubisoft realised that Far Cry 2, while amazing, was very hard for new fans to access it. So what did they do? Well, I like to call it the dumbification of Far Cry, aka make everything more dumb so the players understand it better. More dumb, I mean more dumbed down. Unique animations? No. Replace them with just the same animation of you healing and taping up your hand 15,000 times. What about the very cool map? Cycling through your map like you're in a real jungle? Nah, fuck that. Just get the most generic map you can ever find, stick them on a beach, and have a generic map that fills as you take out really generic towers. Guns that can get jammed? Fuck that, that's too difficult for the kids to understand. Just make sure every gun works perfectly to a T, even though canonically it makes no sense. Taking pills to stop malaria? Actually, that one kind of does make sense. Now, you may take this as me having a massive go at Far Cry 3, but I think Ubisoft made a good decision here. Let's face it, Far Cry was never going to stay that accessible if they kept on the formula of Far Cry 2, and dumbing it down did work. For example, you can now shoot out of cars, and there is now a skill tree. In fact, there's 3 skill trees: the path of the shark, the spider, and the heron. These 3 skill trees allowed the player to really branch out what made them good at Far Cry, and the new system with the open world. You see, the open world in Far Cry 2 was pretty bland and boring, so in Far Cry 3 not only does it get a strong coat of paint, but there is now a lot to do. You have these rage challenges where you have to fight an amount of enemies and get a certain amount of kills in a certain amount of time. You have outposts, which are loved by the Far Cry community to this day, where you'll have to go in and eliminate enemies to continue. You have guard towers / radio towers that you have to go and liberate so you can see more of the map. And overall, you can now, that's right ladies and gentlemen, shoot out of your car. Far Cry 3 was much more accessible to everyone around the world, and the skill tree helped with this. You could now have a stealth build or a loud build, and with the added ability to take down enemies, stealth was now an option in the Far Cry series, and therefore people absolutely loved it. As well as when you get to the second half of the game, you're given a wingsuit so you can what? Fuck me. Amazingly travel round the map by flying. But let's be real here, Far Cry 3 was loved by everyone, and it's no joke why. You can hunt in Far Cry 3, you can do side quests from people, you can take down outposts, you can take down towers, you can do literally anything you want. Healing was even improved. You have to make herbs to heal, and you have to make remedies to heal, and you have to make injection shots to heal. You have to heal with bandages now and stuff like that, and healing was also done overall really well. And if I'm honest, there was no real hate for Far Cry 3, which is why it's so loved to this day. Far Cry 3 was simple but accessible, fun but explosive, and overall just a really good time. So what did they do for Far Cry 4?
Shit!
Far Cry 4 released in 2014, and I have to say it's a very interesting game. Outposts, towers, and takedowns, and wingsuits are all kept from Far Cry 3. In fact, everything is sort of kept from Far Cry 3, except the added ability that you can now shoot, and it feels a lot nicer to kill enemies. Speaking of enemies, there were a lot of new variants added in Far Cry 3, so how many new ones were added in Far Cry 4? One. There was only one new enemy variant added in Far Cry 4, and that was a hunter enemy, which while was extremely fun, was rather odd they only added one. And what about gameplay to the player? Well, there was only one new thing once again they added for the player, and that was the ability to use a grapple hook. You can now grapple hook up cliffs and around the map, and what about the map? Well, the map does feel like Far Cry 3's map, but with a lot darker coat of paint, a lot more darker atmosphere, and a lot more condensed and claustrophobic. And here's where you could probably imagine me complaining that this is the exact same as Far Cry 3, but I'm actually not going to complain. I'm going to praise Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4, in my opinion, has the best gameplay loop ever. You still got the skill tree, the outposts, the towers, and side quests from Far Cry 3, but it's got the added ability of the fun factor, where shooting is reformed and refined a lot better, and you now had an added grapple hook. You keep the wingsuit, you keep all of that stuff, you just now have a lot more stuff, which I actually really like. Far Cry 4 was obviously criticised by many fans as being very similar to Far Cry 3, and I can certainly see why. If you put all the Far Crys in a row, each game you can definitely distinguish gameplay, and then you stick Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 together, yeah, they're extremely similar.
He's ready to go. And up above, Nick. Perfect death from above. Now, it's time to call on Grace to do what she does.
Boom, boom, motherfuckers.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom.
Behind you.
Bang, 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 bang.
Gonna need more help.
I love the way you walk, and I love the way you talk. When you walk that walk, and you talk that talk. You knocks me out off my feet.
But it wouldn't be until 2018, 4 years after the release of Far Cry 4, that Ubisoft decided to switch it up a lot with Far Cry 5. You see, Far Cry 5 wanted to go for a lot more of a lighter attitude, a lighter look, a lighter stance, and let's just say it did amazing for the sales. Far Cry 5 is the best-selling Far Cry to date, with 25 million copies sold worldwide. To put that into perspective, Far Cry 3, probably the favourite in the series of everyone, only sold around 10 million, which I think is insane. So, what happened? How did Ubisoft do this? Well, to start with, they dumbed down once more. They said, hey, you know Far Cry 4? Yeah, let's fucking dumb that shit down.
You need to stop everything. This needs to stop now.
Almost every addition that is in Far Cry 4 and 3 is in Far Cry 5, but they all seem to be lighter / dumbed down more. You see, especially radio towers, this is a perfect example. They're in the game. Do you need to do them? No, because now when you walk around the map, you simply unlock, or it shows you the map as you discover new things on foot. You can fly planes now, you can drive cars, you can use boats, you can now have companions which will come along with you, such as the lovable Herc. Sorry, I'm just kidding, everyone fucking loves Cheeseburger, best companion in any game ever, don't at me.
Hot damn! I heard you found Cheeseburger. As long as he's with you, I know he's safe. Just remember, don't actually feed him cheeseburgers, because, you know, he's got the diabetes.
Is that Far Cry 5 was very dumbed down. Even the skill tree, while being a lot bigger, was extremely dumbed down, with stuff such as like multi-takedowns, hard takedowns, being completely ripped out of the skill tree and replaced with an extra health slot. Enemies do less damage. You do more damage to enemy. Enemy AI and outposts were focused on a lot less, and the fun factor behind stuff like challenges, races, and even stuff like side quests were focused on way more, with things like hunting nearly completely being stripped out of the game. Not quite, but nearly. Now, what do I think about this? Well, I have two opinions. One, I think it's great that Ubisoft tried so many different things. I mean, even looking at Far Cry 5's map layout, the fact you can go and fight whatever villain you want to at whatever time, I think is a really cool feature, and they did change quite a lot. The map is way bigger, you can now fly planes, the leveling up system is a lot less confusing, well, sorry, not confusing, but a lot less. Full stop. You now have companions, you have all these different things, or all these things that were in the old games but are now dumbed down, especially radio towers. Thank you for getting rid of radio towers, thank you. But at the same time, I won't lie, it does kind of suck, because like I say, everything is dumbed down. Outposts feel like a side quest, and they feel like they're optional now to take outposts. It feels so easy because you have all these companions with you, you're never worried about taking outposts. Radio towers are gone. I was going to complain and then I realized that they're radio towers, but something to complain about is hunting. Hunting is now completely nearly out of the game. Not quite out, but completely nearly out of the game. Enemy AI, there were no new enemy variants added except zombies, because it's 2018. And enemies feel a lot weaker and a lot stupider to fight, and overall the map and everything is sort of dumbed down. But I can't fault Ubisoft, because they changed so much for Far Cry 5 that it actually worked, because so many new fans were brought into the series, and I myself was someone who couldn't have been more excited for the release of Far Cry 6.
Do you even grow those here?
Mexicans pay crazy money for this. How you think El Presidente funded Maria's new face?
Okay, go through.
Rule number 3. Fucked up situations call for fucked up solutions.
Hey, he's not here.
If you expected reinforcements, I got news for you. You're an army of one against an army of thousands. When shit gets real, we make use of whatever we have. We call that resolver. That means absolutely everything from sardine cans.
You see, Far Cry 6 would release in 2021, and Ubisoft clearly saw how well Far Cry 5 did, and they knew they had to capitalize on this. So what did they do? They said, what made Far Cry 5 so popular? And someone at Ubisoft said, well, so we changed absolutely nearly everything. And Ubisoft went, yeah, do that again, but do it even more. They changed literally everything about Far Cry. Far Cry 6, you now have a massive focus on what clothes you wear for armor, you have a massive focus on what bullets you use to kill enemies, enemies have health bars, fuck hunting, that's completely out the game. The map is a copy-paste of pretty much Far Cry 5, stealth is pretty much not a thing anymore. Every mission is intended for you to go loud. Companions are way dumbed down and still focused on for some reason. Everything feels so much less, but not less in a good way. Far Cry 5 is how you ruin a game, is how you ruin a franchise, and it's no mistake that Ubisoft really fucked up with Far Cry 5. For whatever reason, I really do feel sorry for Ubisoft because they really did think this game would do well, and I do feel sorry for them for the fact they did try, but they tried way too hard, and they changed way too much. Gameplay-wise, this doesn't even feel like a Far Cry anymore. All the guns suck. The health system fucking sucks. Yeah, you remember those unique animations? Well, they started to go in Far Cry 5, but don't worry, they're completely gone in Far Cry 6. You now put cigarettes on your arm to heal, you do really dumb shit, there's no leveling up system, there is no fun whatsoever, there's no reason to go stealth in any missions. Far Cry 6 is the epitome of how not to make a Far Cry game, and they really did mess up. So where does this leave the future of Far Cry? Well, I won't lie, I don't think the future of Far Cry is very safe at all. Far Cry is a series I love so much, and I love it so much because it's so dear to me in the fact that it is one of the most wacky, weird, and adventurous series I have ever played, and every single game's gameplay and story is so different to the others, except Far Cry 6 when it comes to story. But they are so different to each other that I can't help but love the series. Personally, I think Ubisoft will dumb down for Far Cry 7, and I think they will try to go back to some form of the roots. But hey, that's just what I think. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What Far Cry did you guys think had the best Far Cry gameplay? For me, it was Far Cry 4. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I should cover next, and please do subscribe. Anyway guys, hope you guys have been well, stay safe guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.